Hey guys, and welcome back to EQ Planes, and today I'll be showing off my latest iteration of my Montreal 1 to 400 scale model airport. This will be my first time doing one of these Montreal model airport updates in about a year and a half, so this will be the first update featuring the latest expansion. There should be plenty of new models featured as well. Without further ado though, let's get into the video, starting out with this Royal Jordanian 7878, which is making a departure out to Énorme today. Be interesting to see when the Royal Jordanian 7878s receive the new livery that's been painted onto their E2s. But Royal Jordanian seems to leave their paint schemes on their aircraft for quite a long period of time, so I imagine it won't be anytime soon. Holding short of the runway, we have this Air Canada 737 MAX 8, which will be making a flight down to LA. Air Canada will be taking on 8 more 737 MAXs, with one of those frames being an aircraft built for Lynx but not taken up by them. It's unclear right now whether or not the other 737 MAXs are aircraft already built and used by Lynx, or if they're aircraft that Lynx had on order that will now head to Air Canada instead of them. Next up, here we have an Air Transat A321, which will be making the flight down to Fort Lauderdale today. And behind him we have this Swoops 737 MAX 8, which will be operating for WestJet today on the Winnipeg route. Currently, all of Swoops aircraft are still operating in their original paint schemes for WestJet, however with a small decal saying operated by WestJet put just under the Swoop titles. And taxiing behind this MAX we have an Air France 777, which will naturally be making the flight out to Paris Charles de Gaulle. And over here we have a WestJet 737 MAX 8, which will be headed out to Calgary. WestJet will also be taking on a number of 737 MAX 8s from Lynx, with 2 of them already being painted in Jacksonville, Florida, including the Lynx MAX that I got to fly on their inaugural flight with. Taxiing behind him, we have this Air Transat A321neo, which will be making the transatlantic journey out to Barcelona. And right behind him, we have this British Airways 7878, which will be headed out to London Heathrow. Moving over to the other taxiway, we have this KLM A330-200, which will be headed out to Amsterdam. Headed out to Dublin today, we have this Air Canada 787-9. And taxiing directly behind him, we have this Aeromexico 737 MAX 9, which will be headed down to Mexico City. Next up, we have another transatlantic flight with Air Canada, with this A330 headed out to Brussels. And next up, we have the Lufthansa 787-9. It'll be interesting to see if Austrian uses their new 787s out to Montreal, and we'll certainly have to look into getting one of those models as well. I also heard rumors that Lufthansa would transfer some of their first 787s without Allegris over to Austrian at some point, so it'll be interesting to see if that happens. But anyways, this aircraft will be headed out to Frankfurt. Making its way out to Edmonton, we'll have this Flair 737 MAX 8. Taxiing behind him, we have this Air Canada Rouge A321, which will be headed down to Cancun. While right behind him, we have this American 737 MAX 8, which will be headed down to Miami. Taxiing out for the flight to San Diego, we have this Air Canada A220. Behind him, we have this Air Canada Starlines A330, which will be making a flight down to El Dorado, with Air Canada's 777 flight out to Rome following him. Headed out to Grand River Airport, we have this Air Inuit 737-200. And parked beside him, we have this Air Inuit 737-300, which has just come in from Quebec City. Air Inuit will soon be receiving the 737-800 Combi version, with the first one I believe already sitting out in Kelowna, so be interesting to see how much longer the 737-300s and 200s will have left operating at Air Inuit. And right here, headed out to Iqaluit, we have this Canadian North 737-400 Combi. Loading up here, we have an Aeroflyer 737-600 charter flight, which will be headed back to Kelowna. Whilst this Air Canada Jets A320 will be headed out to Toronto. Canada currently only has one of their Air Canada Jets aircraft in this livery, with 2 of them featuring the current standard Air Canada livery and one being in the toothpaste livery, along with this one in the all-black livery. However, it's rumored that the toothpaste livery one is currently being repainted to this all-black livery one as well. And coming in from Ottawa on a special visit, we have this RCAF Husky A330. Now, funnily enough, I saw this particular A330 in service with Kuwait Airlines on my latest trip to Frankfurt back in 2022. And here we have a Delta 757 configured in the VIP configuration, which will be headed down to Atlanta. Over here at the Air Canada maintenance hangar, we have the TCA Retrojet A220, which has been grounded since about the start of the year due to the Pratt & Whitney engine issues. And we also have an Air Canada Express CRJ200, which will be leaving the fleet as the aircraft has now been retired. And out towards the back, we have an Air Canada Q400, which has just come in from getting the new livery, Air Canada has been painting their Q400s at a pretty decent pace this year, so I imagine they'll be on track to finish the fleet at some point in the next couple years. Parked over here just in from Toronto Billy Bishop Airport, we have this Porter Q400. Getting ready for a flight out to Detroit, we have this Air Canada Express CRJ 900. With this United Express CRJ 550 having just come in from Chicago right next to him. Over here at the terminal, we have this Air Transat A330 getting loaded up for a flight out to Marrakech today. At this gate, we have an Air Canada Express E175, which will be preparing for a flight out to Nashville. Here we have a Porter E2 getting loaded up for a flight out to Halifax today. It's definitely been interesting to see just how fast Porter's expanded, with them on track to reach 40 E2s by year end. I'm also interested in seeing how the Porter Air Transit partnership will strengthen the future of this endeavor. Here we have an Air Canada A321, which just made a flight in from Toronto. Parked next to him, we have this Flair 737-800, which will be making a flight out to Vancouver today. And here we have a Sunwing 737-800, which has just come in from Punta Cana and is now getting unloaded. WestJet has extended the lifespan of Sunwing, as now they will operate this winter season as well, instead of being integrated back into WestJet immediately this summer as was originally planned. However, if all goes according to plan, this will be Sunwing's last winter season of operations. And finally, for today's airport update, we have this Air Canada Rouge A319 preparing for a flight out to Victoria. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for watching this airport update. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more Canadian airport updates, and hope to see you guys back next time.